Hey, welcome back to the studio. It's good to have you here with me again. Well, I hope you're ready for another fun painting. Today we're going to be painting the Badlands of South Dakota. And while we're getting going here, all the names of the colors are going to be flashing across the screen. I'm going to go ahead and get my brushes ready. And I want to start today with a flat brush, because you know how we do things. We always want to start with the sky, and as you can see, I have a very nice line drawing on here. I always recommend, get my leg in here so I can sit a little bit more comfortably. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's better. That's better. All right. Let's begin with the flat brush, and you always want to start with this line drawing on your painting because you always want to have a guide. You know, you want to have a guide for where all your stuff is going to go. We're working on a little bit different paper than usual. We're working on a 140-pound paper today, which is just a lighter paper than the 300-pound that we've been using. All right. So if you've been using 300-pound paper and this is a sudden change, it's not that big of a deal. It's just that the 300-pound paper is going to be a lot more absorbent. Okay, that's really the only difference. So also, 140-pound paper can't take as much water without buckling. And, well, if you don't know what buckling means, it just means that it starts to warp a little bit when you add a lot of water to it. So we're going to start with some phthalo blue, and we're going to use a little bit of quinacridone magenta in there. All right, we want sort of a violet blue color. But the reason I'm mixing the quinacridone magenta and the phthalo blue in here is because, well, you know, there we go. Yeah, that's a little more dry than I anticipated. I thought I got water on that top part. Okay, now you want to start with here. Luckily, if we add just a little bit of water, it's not that big of a deal. It'll cause some blooms, but blooms look a lot like clouds, so it's not going to completely ruin our painting. And part of the trials and tribulations of, well, doing a watercolor painting on an easel like this that's completely upright is that we got ourselves a little bit of a situation here where every so often the paint will drip. I was about to say dry, but I meant drip. Okay, let's go ahead and add some more water to this. Maybe I don't have enough water on here. I'm kind of surprised by that. I thought I got enough water on here, but this paper must be particularly absorbent. This is a different brand than I usually use. I won't go into brands and all that, but you gotta take a look at all the brands that are out there and see if they're best for you. Now, I'm not too upset by, you know, all the blooms and everything. One of the big things about this sort of technique, you want to make sure that you've got about yay dark at the top of the piece here, because the top of the sky is always going to be a little bit darker. Okay. All right. Top of the sky around the edges and all that is going to be a little bit darker. So when you have yourself a painting like this, here, let me hold the edges, and I don't know if I like that. Here. This is why I prefer natural hairs over synthetic hairs like this, because synthetic hairs always do this, where the bristles will split like this. And it's okay for making bushes and stuff like that, but when you got other colors that you're trying to make here, it doesn't work as great. You know, let me rinse this brush out. Clearly I still have some color in there. Okay. Alright. Now let's go up in here, maybe dab away at some of this. Alright. And maybe we can create some nice little cloud shapes just like this. And maybe we'll go up in here. Yeah. We'll just pretend there's lots of clouds in there. It's a pretty easy way to patch up any mistakes that you might have made. Just pretend that a lot of what you did is just a bunch of clouds. There, that's pretty good. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead now and make some other decisions about what we want to do now. I like to use the flat brush mostly as a just putting water in, and for good reason, because, well, as you can see, things got a little hairy there when we tried to use it as an actual painting brush. So it doesn't really function all that well as a painting brush unless we're making foliage and stuff. For the rest of these, I like to use a round brush with natural hairs. The natural hairs hold their shape a lot better. They hold a lot more water. They hold a lot more paint. And while this is drying, that feels like it's getting a little dry already. Yeah, okay. That works for me. Let's go ahead now and make some decisions about what colors we want to use. Now, this painting is going to have a lot of ultramarine in it because ultramarine is a very granular color. When I say granular, I mean that it's got like this texture to it where the pigment particles will settle into the paper. Okay? That's really all that means. So let's go ahead now and let's think in sections here. What do I want to do first? I want to get like a green, not so much a green color, but maybe like a yellowish gold color as a base here. So I'll use the nickel azo yellow, and I'll use my quinacridone magenta to get that color. And what I like to do with that, here, let me go ahead and clean off my palette here. Every so often you gotta clean off your palette. And I feel like I need to do that with these colors here because we need to clean the slate. We need to get everything going. And this is going to require a whole lot of ultramarine throughout this entire piece because there's going to be a ton of texture in here. Maybe not so much in the foliage. But everything else is going to have lots and lots of texture, and that's where ultramarine comes in. A lot of the colors that we're using don't have much texture on them at all. Like, here, let me put this toilet paper aside here. This is just cheap toilet paper you can get at Home Depot, you know. It's just the industrial stuff that they put in all the workplaces and everything. It's not good toilet paper. If you want to use good toilet paper, go wild, but I ain't going to do that. No. Okay, let's get ourselves a little bit of that ultramarine now, and I just add that in. Yeah, okay, that's a nice color. Okay, a little bit more quinacridone magenta to that, a little bit more nickel azo yellow. Yeah, we got a nice color going there. Okay. So let's go ahead now with our wash brush. Just give it a little bit of love tap right here, and I'm going to go right above here. You want to color in that shape. Be real careful with it. Baby it. And if that's too much water, you can soak up a little extra. You can soak up a little extra right here. There. Check that out. Good deal, right? Okay. So now here we go with our little bit of a bravery test. It's not too stressful right now, so don't have to worry too much, but there it is. Okay? Alright. So we got that going right there, and that's going to be a fine color. We don't have to adjust that at all. Okay? And then we can go right over in here, right about here, okay? And we can apply that same color. We don't have to go too wild, mixing up colors and all that. A lot of times, whenever you can use the same color, you really want to try to do that. You really want to try to use the same color whenever you can because, well, it saves time. At least in my case. Actually, if you want to go ahead and just, mix up all kinds of different colors and experiment when you got all the time in the world on your hands, I mean, go right ahead. But me, I gotta move on here. I gotta kick things into overdrive. I gotta get my butt moving. Gotta scoot. Look at that. Those are some nice gold colors, right? Yeah, those are pretty nice. We might be able to play around with that a little bit more. Maybe up in here. Yeah, let's go ahead up in there. And I still got some of this color left over, so we can have some fun with this. Okay, good deal. It's actually one of the best deals I could have asked for. Went down to Walmart, looked up the best deals, and this was one of them. Right there. Just imagine walking through here. Someone's, wants to go on some kind of tour, but they don't want to follow any guides or anything, so they go on foot and they go across all these lands, and they're walking over all these hills and having all these little journeys, and well, eventually they Yeah, that's dry. Okay. Let's go ahead and get ourselves some. Let's get ourselves some stone color now. You can just imagine someone walking over all this stuff, and they walk over one of these hills right here, and they look safe, but then one of the rocks moves, and they fall down and twist their ankle, and they're calling, and there ain't nobody around for a good long while because, well, it's the Badlands. Nobody goes out there. That's dark. I apologize. These are the thoughts that keep you up at night, right? Nah, I'm just kidding around. I'm messing around with you. Don't worry about it. Alright, so let's say that we're playing around with our triad here of the ultramarine and the quinacridone magenta and the Nicolazzo yellow, and we're just playing around trying to find like a good neutral color here. Maybe we want to lean a little bit more toward orange, right? Yeah, maybe we do. Maybe we want to have that color leaning a little bit toward orange, but we also want it to be like pretty dark too. Like we said, we're looking for a neutral here. So one of the things that happens when you add a mix of that creates an orange color like quinacridone magenta and Nicolazzo yellow, and you add a blue to it, a lot of times what will happen is it'll start to shift toward green, because colors are weird things, and they like to play tricks on you and stuff like that. So they'll start shifting toward a color that you weren't really looking for, so you gotta try to nudge it back toward the way you want by adding some more of that red or that magenta color. And that way it'll get you back to where you wanted to go. Thank goodness for that, right? Okay, so let's go in here and maybe wet a little something. There it goes. Okay. And we'll just wet this little area right here. Alright. Actually, maybe we can go ahead and wet this whole area right here. There it goes. There it goes. So now we can... Alright, look at that. That's not a bad color at all. That's pretty much what I was looking for. Pretty much. And since we got the paper turned upright like this, it's gonna kind of just drift down to the bottom and create that little ridge, which is kind of what I'm looking for. Yeah, I like that. Okay. There it goes. Oh, that's looking so pretty. That's looking so pretty. And that's pretty much the same color that we want to play around up in here, up in this section. But I don't know if I want to do that right now. Do I want to do that right now? I don't know. Well, we got enough time here that we can go ahead and play around with it. We can go ahead with those light colors, but try to, when you go in with these colors like this, try to think in terms of planes and stuff. Like we got one plane right here, and yeah, that's looking pretty good. You want to try to paint around all the foliage and everything. You don't want to cover up the foliage that you're trying to work with. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So just try to work around it the best you can. Okay. And, whew, oh boy, we're getting a lot of water in there. A lot of water. Well, better to have a lot of water than not enough. That's what I say. That's my philosophy right there. Alright, I might have gotten a couple of areas a little wetter than I really intended. So if that happens, whoop, got ourselves a little drip right there. Careful drips. If you see your water bunching up, be careful. Be careful, see? That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing this. I'm cleaning up a little bit of extra water. You really want to try to control your water. So if you get your paper just absolutely soaked, don't worry too much. You're alright. You're alright. But you want to control that, okay? So let's go in here. Look at this. It's already getting a little dry. That's some color, huh? Okay. There it goes. All right. And we'll just go into all these nooks and crannies like this. And Alright? Go in all these little nooks and crannies like this and color some stuff. There. And remember, wherever you have foliage, try to leave it alone. Try to leave it alone. Try your best. You're not always going to succeed, but that's why I say try. Okay? Alright, we got ourselves a little bit of something in there. Now we can go ahead with our tissue, our toilet paper. And now we can just lift a little bit of this at the top. Okay. Yeah, we can just lift a little bit of that. Yeah. And maybe we're just going to dab at that a little bit. Create kind of a mottled effect on it. Like maybe we got all kinds of stones that are coming down in here, and you know, it's kind of funny all the stuff that you can do with just toilet paper like this. Like we can go in and create these little ridges at the top here. Maybe you want to go across. You're not going to be able to lift all the color, but you're going to be able to lift a great deal of it, which is really the goal, you know. Okay, imagine the light coming in and hitting those edges right there, and we just want to come in and give this a little bit of encouragement and take off some color that we didn't really intend to put in there. And okay, that's pretty good. We don't have to fuss around with that anymore. That's a good color. Alright, since we did that, we probably want to wait to do these other ones. Actually, can I go in here and get that? It's probably too far gone. Yeah, the thing is about staining colors, and we use a lot of staining colors here, is that once that color's down, you gotta be real careful. You gotta be real careful, because once it's down, you're never gonna be able to get it back up. Oh, that's one of the most tragic things about painting like this. It really is. Okay. You know what I want to do? I got a little moment here where I'm seized by inspiration, I think. I'm gonna take some of this Nicolazo yellow and the Pyro orange. Let me see, where do I have it on my palette? There it is. What I have here is a unique mixing system with two lines of colors right next to all the corresponding colors on the palette. So I have like Nicolazo yellow in a well, and it's right next to Pyro orange. In fact, let me see if I can show that to you. See, I gotta be careful here because my palette's real wet, and you know how watercolor is, but that's the gist of it. You know, you got two lines of paint in the same well, so you can mix colors very quickly and very easily. You don't have to fuss around a whole bunch with it. It's real nice. It's real nice. But every time that you want just the color by itself, you can go in and you can get that. Oops. Boy, we got ourselves in a nice drip there, don't we? Yeah, we do. Like I say, it's a good thing. Oh boy, that really wants to go off to the side there, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Well, if it does, that's its prerogative, but it ain't gonna do it on my watch. It's a good thing we're using staining colors right now. I can just say that. I can say that much. Okay. Now we're going to cover like this whole section right here with this one color that I mixed up. Okay. Maybe get a little, you know, I have a little bit of sky color on some of the parts that I've already been working on here, but that's all right. That's all right. All right. This is just the Nicolazo yellow and the Pyro orange. Okay. And look how vibrant that is. Oh, that is just magical, huh? Yeah. One of the things about watercolor painting is that you want to choose a bunch of colors that are really vibrant, okay? You want to choose some colors that are really vibrant. And you can get away with using more colors in a watercolor painting than you can in an oil painting. Oil painting, I've found, is a little difficult to work when you're using bunches and bunches of colors. But when you're painting watercolors, you can glaze things very, very easily. And it's so easy for things to become unified with your color harmony and stuff. Color harmony just means the way that all the colors are playing with each other when you put them on the paper. And do they look like they're connected, or do they look like they're kind of just separated from each other? if they don't look like they're separated, well, chances are you've done a pretty good job handling color. Alright, so we're just adding some light touches of the nickel azo yellow and the pyro orange here to kind of create some separation near the bottom. Okay? And kind of create a little shadow edge near this mound right here. Okay? And if I want, I can go on to the edges right here. And maybe right here we want, well, let me go ahead and lift some of this. There we go. And there. Yeah, it's good. We don't have to fool around with that. That's good. Okay. Now, this section right here is going to have a little bit more action in it. It's going to be a little bit, there's going to be some separation like right in the middle where there's going to be some nice kind of light oranges, light reddish oranges. So let's go ahead right here and paint this little section right here. And we're going to try to just put in the little the yellows in between all these little sections right here where we can. We're going to try. That's the key word about all this. Try. That's my key word for a lot of things, isn't it? Yeah, I know. Okay, let's go in here. Imagine someone staring up at this from the bottom. There's some guy and his wife, and they flew in here nearby and decided, hey, let's go hiking, and then they went out with the tour guide and they struck off on their own, and they went to go look at some flowers or something because they saw some crazy wildflowers out here next to all these mountains and everything, and they tried to regroup with the sightseeing tour, but by the time that they got back to reconnect, turns out everybody left. Oh no. It's like one of those trash TV documentaries that you see on all those reality TV shows. Yeah. My girlfriend likes to watch a lot of those, so I've seen a lot of these places on TV. I've been to this one. This one was pretty safe. It wasn't anything to really get all scared over. Even though I say some things right now that are getting kind of dark in there. I don't know why my mind keeps going back to that place. I don't know. I think it's from watching all that reality TV and getting all those thoughts in my head like, oh boy, these people are in trouble, aren't they? They sure did a foolish thing there, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Alright. We can go down in here and let's do another mound. Now if you look at the paper, you can see that it's starting to buckling a little bit. Luckily, since it's on a pad, it's not too bad or anything. And since we got that same color laid in here, we'll give all those colors over there a chance to dry. And then we can start painting in all the shadow sides. One of the things that, here, getting a little bit too much water. One of the things that I think hampers a lot of watercolor painters is that they have a difficult time controlling the water, for one. Now, controlling water is not easy, especially when the paper's upright. When you're painting on your own, you don't have to paint like this. I want to really, really emphasize that. You really don't have to paint like this. In fact, I really don't recommend it. Here, we'll just paint this little section right here. It really helps to divide these up into sections like this. It really does. So now we can go ahead and alright. Divide these into sections and we'll go down this way. And there it goes. Okay. And we'll just keep playing around with this. We'll throw a little bit of something at the bottom. If there's a little bit of variation in your colors, That's okay. That's okay. Don't get worried if there's like some variation in your colors. Don't get worried. Okay? We'll just go along the edge here and maybe insert a few hints of separation right there. And then we'll go back in and just kind of graze the top here. Okay? Just like this. Just like this. Look how easily we create a ridge, okay? Look at that. Look at that. Easiest thing in the world, I know. So easy. In fact, we can go in and maybe dab a little bit here and there. Maybe down here there's a little bit more. Okay? Yeah. If you have a little bit more variation in your colors, like maybe one section is a little greenish and one section is a little bit more violet, that's perfectly normal because a lot of times when you add ultramarine into a color, there's a lot of separation because ultramarine is a weird color where there's all kinds of separation even though it's still really good mixing into all this stuff. So it has a really weird behavior that has a very interesting texture to it. So you always want to try to play around with it and you always want to try to include it in everything you do. All right, I think we can go ahead now and do this other side here. And you know what I want to do? I want to get a little bit more quinacridone magenta on this one. Yeah. Now this brown color that we whipped up is just awesome. Really, really loving it. It's not a really vibrant color, but it's going to look so nice in context with everything else here. In fact, let's go ahead now. Let's go ahead now and, well, let's go ahead and paint this big stuff right here. I might be getting ahead of myself doing that, but I feel like it's what I want to do. All right, let's go ahead and let's take some of this right here. And watch out for those beads. Watch out for those beads of water. Those beads of water come in, they'll have a little party at your expense. They'll ruin your whole day, just about. Not really, not really. If you know what you're doing, you can control them. You got this. I want you to tell yourself that while you paint this, because sooner or later, you'll start believing it. Even if you feel like initially, when you start painting, that I don't know if I do got this. Well, that's the way everyone feels when they start out painting. They're not sure if they actually do got this. But if you keep telling yourself that you do, eventually you'll believe it. And eventually, you will. Because you keep on trying. That's really the gist of art is, you just don't give up. Don't give up. If you want to paint, you can't give up. You got to keep at it. All right. Look at all these lovely things that we're getting. I can't get enough, and I just simply cannot get over the granulation that we get from ultramarine. It's one of the most fascinating things about painting with these colors. And these are inexpensive colors that we use too. We don't use like really expensive colors. If you want to use expensive colors, you can. You don't have to use any of the same colors I do. If you have some colors that you like, you can go ahead and use them. Remember that when I show you how to paint things, it's not how you should paint. It's how you could paint. These are just kind of suggestions. Just little suggestions to help you on your way. But if you want to go ahead and do the same painting and use all the same colors, and I totally get that. Because everyone's got to start someplace, and you might as well start here. So there's no shame in copying. No shame at all. But at some point, maybe you want to do your own thing. And you want to start making your own little compositions. And that's really the goal here. Want to give you some helpful suggestions, some helpful hints, and just turn you loose. Let everyone see the art that's in your heart. Open your heart up to the world through your art. It's a difficult thing to do. Putting yourself out there and showing people your art and Because there's a lot of people who really criticize you, and they'll tell you things like, oh, you don't know what you're doing and all that business, and they'll steer you in the wrong direction and tell you things like, oh, you simply must do this or you simply must do that. But when people do that, you just gotta ask yourself, what did they know? They don't know nothing. Or maybe sometimes they'll suggest that you don't know how to paint. Well, maybe you don't quite yet, but you're learning. I don't think we ever really stop learning, by the way. It's one of those things that it's kind of a lifelong education. Art is. So when you think about art and you think about, well, maybe I can stop learning. Well, buddy, I got news for you. You never really do stop learning when it comes to art. You're always picking up new things and always trying new stuff out and always taking some risk. That's what makes art worth making, is trying new things and learning some new experiences. So a lot of good takeaways. It's one of the reasons I like to go outside and paint and stuff. And you run into people and meet them. Maybe not right now because we are in the midst of a pandemic. But when things are a little bit more normal, we'll say. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like this is normal now. It's kind of scary to think about, but we'll get through it. And I get through it by spending time with you. I can't tell you how happy I am that you let me into your life and that you allow me to do these little episodes for you and that you want to spend time with them. It feels good that these mean so much to you. And so much to other people too. It really makes it worth all the effort. Okay, we'll go down here and we'll just throw some things in right there. Okay. There. Great little separation down there. It's one of those nice things about watercolor is that it dries and it leaves that little ridge at the bottom that creates kind of a shadow separation between everything. We can go back in with any glazes that we want later. Okay. And we'll just wipe that out and get rid of that, and maybe we'll go down here and yeah. Maybe there's a little bit more up here. Alright. Okay, now that's looking pretty sweet. You want to keep it real light when you're working all these little hills right here because they're not going to be real dark. A lot of these planes up here that we painted, they look kind of similar right now, but they won't when we get to them. I'm just a little, ooh, we should leave that to dry. Okay, so we can leave our round brush right here. And now we want to think about some of these other areas right up in here. Like maybe we can go ahead up to this little mountain off in the distance right there. Look at that little baby mountain. It's interesting how that's so far away and it looks so tiny, but when we get up to it, boy, you're going to be minuscule compared to it. It's just going to tower over you. Don't make it matter, it's going to fall over on you. Imagine that, the angry mountain. The mountain that had enough of your guff. Probably gets all these humans that come to these parks all day long and talk smack. Like they know what it's like to be a mountain. You know what it's like to be a mountain? No? Well, shut up. Thump. Maybe they get all kinds of humans that like to come up and maybe there's people who live their life according to the phrase like faith that can move mountains or something, and then they try to go up and will the mountain to move, and then they don't realize that it wasn't necessarily meant literally. And the mountain says, oh yeah, well, we'll see about that. And then it actually just moves away from you. Moves away from the person doing that, just to have a little fun with them. Yeah, I like to imagine that mountains have little personalities of their own sometimes. It's fun to think about. Oh, you gotta have fun. We have fun here. And you have to have fun while you paint. If painting isn't fun, then, I mean, why are you painting, right? Right. Okay, let's clean off the palette now, because we don't need quite so much phthalo blue. We need a big old section here, big old section, where we can mix some nice greens. And these are going to be some dark greens. Oh yeah, over in here, these deep greens are going to be dark. Okay. All right. There we go. Just cleaning off a little bit of pyro that we're using on a previous episode. Maybe you think that I would clean off my palette in between episodes, but then you might be surprised. Sometimes you reuse colors. Sometimes you do. Other times not so much. But sometimes you do. And when you reuse colors, you want them to hang around a little bit longer. Because sometimes you have colors that are really hard to mix. Well, honestly, it's not that hard to mix colors. Especially when you already know what all the colors that you use. If you have a lot of colors, this is why I keep telling you to just choose a few colors that you like. But if you paint with a whole bunch of different colors, it's going to be a lot harder to wrap your head around mixing colors. It's funny, but it's true. Now we're going to get a little bit of ultramarine here. A little bit of ultramarine, Nicolasso yellow. And we're just going to glaze some stuff, okay? We're going to glaze some stuff. I'm going to put a nice little... Ooh, actually, I think I'm going to get a little bit more yellow on this one. Because we might want to just, slap in a few darker bits on this later, okay? So this is going to be kind of a sap green sort of color. A color that's very... If you know what sap green is, it's a very yellow green color that looks a little dull, okay? That's really all it is. Okay, so let's go in here. Okay, there it goes. It goes right here. There it goes. Right there. Right there. And notice that we didn't use the flat brush at the time. We could have. But we didn't. We didn't. And maybe I want that color to go up in there. Cover up a little bit of this mountain right here. There it goes. You can do that. Do whatever you want. If I want to cover up a little bit of that land right there. Yeah, maybe I do. Alright. So we'll just create a little ridge right here. And we'll leave that to dry for right now. We'll come back to that in a little bit. And maybe we'll pick out some spots right here. Like maybe we'll go ahead and paint this little doodad right here. This little range. Okay? Yeah, there it goes. Maybe the grass is kind of just rolling up and covers up a little bit of the mountain right there. That range. Yeah, just like that. And then maybe up in here. Up in here. Okay. Goes. We mostly want to leave a lot of this stuff that we already painted alone, I think. Well, of course, if we want, we can go in and throw another glaze on there. But I don't know that we really want to do that right now. Okay. Well, we can go in here and there. That's looking pretty good. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Okay. Now right up in here. Right up in here. We'll go right there. Okay. Okay. All right. Now we can take a little bit of our toilet paper. Just dab away at this. Okay. That's how easy that is. That's how easy that is. In fact, over here, maybe you want to create a little bit more separation, so we'll add some more color to these little ridges right here. Okay. Want to add a little bit more separation up here. Now this is already dry. or some of it is a little dry. We'll just add some of that right there. Okay, that's all there is to that. Now let's think about adding a little bit more blue to these trees right here. Okay, we'll add a darker bluish color. We'll add a little bit of, I think we'll add a little bit of the ultramarine, not the ultramarine, but the quinacridone magenta on this, just to dull this down. Okay, there it goes. A little bluer now. We're almost there. Okay. Now we'll just throw this down right here. Little bushes. They're real dark bushes, so we don't have to make too lively of a color on them. We just want to add a little something here just to push everything back. And if you want, you can use a sponge to put these in. I haven't put the sponge to work today. I have a sponge and I've showed it before on a previous episode, but I'm just not using it right now. Okay, let's go ahead and I think just dab away at these a little bit. Okay, and then maybe we'll get the sponge out just to put a little bit more detail on. Maybe. I haven't decided yet. Okay, let's go ahead now and clean our brush off. The big brush, our big round. Right now, I'm going to show you a trick right here. What I like to do with my round brush is hold it out just like this, and what I do is I swirl it around. And when I do that, what happens is that the water gets, whipped off, and the bristles come to a point. But I'm not going to do that in front of you right here because I'm going to get a little bit of water on you and the camera too if I do that right here. So I'm just going to put my arm off to the side and do it. And there we have our little point. That big brush is ready to go again. It's all revved up. Yeah, buddy. Here we go. What do I want to do? I'm thinking, let's get some nickel azo yellow right here and just get a yellowish color, and we'll make it very light actually. Make it very light, and it'll go right about right here. Okay. Yeah, just about right there. And maybe right here. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Add a few things down right here. Okay. There it goes. Alright. Yeah, that looks nice. That looks nice. These greens are going to be very, very subdued today. I really want to emphasize that. Very subdued. Okay? Now, we've got this section right here we can complete, so let's go ahead and do that. I'll set my big round off to the side right there, and then I'll get this little section wet. Got ourselves a little bit of a trip right there. Luckily it's just water. Mostly water. There's a little bit of color in there, but not enough to really affect anything. The thing about watercolor painting is that, it takes a little bit of pigment in the water, a little bit of color in the water, a little bit of paint in the water to really affect how things are going to appear. If there's just a little bit, it's going to be imperceptible unless you're looking at it on the paper. So there's a very light color to the water right now because we've been painting for a while. Things are getting a little dirtier, even though we're using this water bucket. And this water bucket that I'm using has 3 wells. I use 2 wells to clean off my brushes, but I use 1 well with clean water in it for the paint. Well, it's just to paint with. And that way everything looks very clean and very, very, well, pleasant, I guess is the right way to put it. There. Alright. Okay, and then that's looking nice. That's looking nice. What we can do is take some of this color and go down into these edges right here and create a little bit more separation near the bottom. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay. Now before things dry, and you gotta be quick when you do this. I really want to emphasize that you gotta be quick. We can go in and wipe away some of this foolishness here. Foolishness. That's a good way to describe some of the paintings that we do here. Sometimes these paintings are just silly the way that there's so much detail in them. But you don't have to paint every little detail. In fact, you want to pick and choose which details you decide to include. If you include all of them, well, I don't know if I would recommend that. But, you know, including details is a really great way to get a lot of focus drawn to whatever it is you're trying to get people to look at. If you want the viewer to look at a certain part of your painting, you want to try to add a lot of detail up to one very specific part to guide them there. Detail is a really great way to do that. Okay? Now we'll go over here. Okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. We are starting to encroach on the yellows right here. So let's just try to let's be a little bit more careful with that, shall we? Yeah. Alright. Yeah, we're in a good place right now. We're in a tremendous place, actually. Okay, let's go ahead and think about what we want to do next. What do we want to do next? I want to add kind of a darker hue to some of these mountain bits right here. We'll add a little bit of Nicolazo yellow and quinacridone magenta to our mix now. Okay? And this is going to be a lot of Nicolazo yellow in here. We might even keep some of that ultramarine around. Yeah, I think that might be a good way to do things. That might be a good way to do things. Alright. So we're not going to add the darkest darks quite yet here. We're going to keep things pretty light at the moment. So we'll pick a spot right about here. Okay. And then we'll just go down right to about, ooh, yay, right there. Okay. Actually, we'll go right, yeah, there it goes. Okay. And we'll pick out some spots right over here. Alright. And this can kind of go in there too, and we'll keep some of this. We'll keep some of this from getting too dark. Okay. Alright, there's that. Okay. Everything's looking pretty good right there. What about right here? There it goes. There it goes. Alright. Got some interesting colors in here, don't we? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Okay. Let's just take this down a notch. Take it down. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay? That looks good. That actually looks real good. Okay. Now, These mountains over here are going to be pretty illuminated, so there's not a lot that I can really do in there. But we can do a few things like, oh, we can go up right about here. Okay. And maybe I got some things right there. Okay. And maybe we've got some interesting shapes right here. Okay. And we'll go right in here and get that. And that's looking pretty decent. Okay. It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Now, I'm thinking I want to go in with a little bit more of our Nicolazo yellow and our quinacridone magenta. And this time we're going to go in with kind of a, maybe a very, I don't know. We'll add some ultramarine to this. I want it to be a very dull green. I want to be almost orangey on it, honestly. And let's add some more yellow to this. Okay. Alright, let's try this. I'm going to add this right here. Alright, we got that. And now we're going to add just a little bit right here. Okay. Now let's be sure that we get this. Okay. Very nice. Alright, that's got a nice little hue to it, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Kind of like that. Okay, let's do the same thing over here. Let's do the same thing over here. One of the things about glazes is that they're often corrective. I guess in the truest sense, they are very corrective. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. All right. Yeah, that really changed things, didn't it? Yeah, it did. That made it look really nice. I can't complain about that at all. Okay. Okay, we'll go in here and we'll do more of the same. Okay. And maybe right in here. Whoa. Okay. Over here now. Let's lift a little bit of this. Notice that I'm not wetting it before I do this. I don't do that because I want a lot of the color to remain. I just want to take some of it away. You can also use a very, very light wash with just water to make this happen. But a lot of times it can be a little bit more difficult to do that. Actually, the way I do it is very difficult in itself. So you gotta judge whether you feel more comfortable doing this or something else. But right here, right now, I feel more comfortable doing it the way I do it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get maybe a little bit of the Pyrrole and the quinacridone magenta here and whip up something that's a little soft red. Yeah, I'm feeling a soft red on this one. Okay, let's just go ahead right here and throw this in. Okay. There it goes. Oh, that looks... Oh boy, that looks real nice. This looks borderline too vibrant for what we're trying to achieve, but I think it might work. It might work. Let me just see how it looks. Yeah, let's go ahead and maybe get a little bit stronger color in this. A little bit more of that pyrrole. Yeah. Okay. A little bit more of the pyrrole. Just can't get enough pyrrole, can we? No, come on. Pyrrole has a funny way of getting overpowered by the quinacridone magenta. Quinacridone magenta is kind of a pushy color. Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is. Okay. So let's go ahead and lift that. We better lift that, or else it's going to be a big old mess. All right? Okay. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. We took a lot of it away, but we also left that pink color behind, which is a nice addition. What we could do is, using some of this color that we whipped up, we could kind of go through some of this stuff that we made. And that way it might unify things a little bit more. Yeah. Maybe if we want, we can go right in here. Okay. Just like that. Yeah, that's about all there is to that. We can even lift that if we want to. I know there's a lot of lifting in this particular technique that I show you, but lifting is a good way to get colors to bend to your will, especially colors that stain like this. The point is to put down the color, then take away, subtract a little bit. You don't have to keep everything. You don't have to keep everything. Mind yourself of that. Okay. And we'll just add another little glaze over here. And that should be about good right there. Very nice. Very nice. So, there's kind of a light, very light color going on in there. We'll decide whether we want to keep that the white of the paper or whether we want to add a little bit of something in there. Okay? And I'm leaning toward adding just a little bit of the blue color that we've been using to our quinacridone magenta and our Nicolasso yellow mix. I'm getting a little distracted trying to make the right color here. This might be a little bit bluer than everything else, okay? Well, we'll make it like a really dark blue, but we're also going to water it down a lot. Because we don't want it to get, saturated or anything. In fact, I don't think you can water this down enough. You can't really water it down enough. Okay, let's go in here now with this color. See, look how light I made it. Look how light I made it. All right? That's about the color that we're looking for. All right? Again, be careful with your water. You don't want things to start dripping on you, all right? But if it does start dripping on you, it's not going to be the end of the world. Remember that this color is so light. It is so light that it's very easy to correct everything. In fact, we could go over this entire space right here with just this color, and no one would be any the wiser. Just like that, just like that. There. We don't need to make things complicated. Just paint over it. Paint over it. Okay? And then once we get to all the foliage and everything, that's going to be real easy too. Oh yeah. That's going to be a cakewalk. I know I say it like I know what I'm talking about. Like I say, you gotta pretend sometimes. Okay. Okay. There we go. See? That is so light. So easily put in there that we can just take away whatever we don't like. Got that very light gray in there. Very light. Very light. Okay. Just the lightest wash. Okay. Now we can make some decisions. We can make a few decisions here. Like, what do we want to do? What do we want to do? Well, I'm going to take some of that Nicolazo yellow and that ultramarine blue. Take some of that. And I want a lot of Nicolazo yellow on this, actually. Okay. Want a lot of the Nicolazo yellow on this one. There it goes. There it goes. There. Okay. So now we can start thinking about all these colors in here. Maybe a lot of them are this kind of yellowish color right here. In fact, I don't even know if that's yellow enough. Maybe. I'm going to try something a little bolder. We're going to go in with the Nicolazo yellow and the quinacridone magenta, and we're going to just use a lot of Nicolazo yellow on this. A lot of it. With just a little bit of the quinacridone magenta. Because this needs to be really yellow. It needs to be really yellow. Things are really dry out here. That's the thing. Things are really dry. Things are very, very dry. So, all this stuff kind of just looks like it's almost dying out there, even though this is the way it pretty much always looks. Alright. Yeah, that's looking a little better. Okay, now we can go in here with some of these little shapes like this, and we got all these little yellow things growing in here, and maybe we got another one right here that's kind of just growing. Okay. Alright. Okay. That's looking very smart, very smart. Let's go in. Let's add some more of this yellow color with the quinacridone magenta and the Nicolazo yellow. It's one of my favorite colors. And if you haven't tried it before, you really should. The Nicolazo yellow is such a fantastic landscape color. It brightens to a very sunny yellow, but then it also can dull down when you use a lot of it to a earthy brown. Well, a brown yellow. We call that ochre when we have a really brown yellow color, or else we call it a sienna type color. That's what we call it. Okay. And we'll go right in here and add some of the stuff right. Okay. Yeah. You can choose where you want the yellows and stuff to be. Like, there's gonna be like some really yellow flowers up in here, like right around here, just like that. Okay. Right in there, there's gonna be some really yellow stuff. Okay. And maybe I'll go ahead and add a lot of this color down in here. There we go. And this will create kind of a unifying glaze, or a unifying wash. It's not really a glaze when you apply it as the first layer. It's more of a wash. Okay. Everything. Pick and choose where you have little blades kind of just shooting up there. that. And don't make them all the same length. You know, make them a little different. Make them a little different like this one. There you go. And then, yeah, we'll go in here and do a few more things like this. Scrub in some of this color right here. There it goes. And then we'll just, there. Okay. And then right about here. That's looking good. That's looking good. And notice how it's drying to a little bit more of a earthy kind of yellowish color, which is exactly what we want. We don't want things to get too bright right now. That's not what we want here. Remember, this is kind of a western scene, you know? All the colors are a little washed out and kind of dry. It's one of the big things that I really want to emphasize here. Okay, there's going to be a little bit of like this red color at the bottom, so let's go ahead and get some magenta. Get some magenta on this. Alright? And then we'll feel this. Always feel things. If you feel it and it feels like it's a little cool, that means it's still a little damp. Okay, let's go ahead right here. Oh yeah, that's looking nice. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Luckily our quinacridone magenta here, particularly the one that we're using, is not the most staining color in the world. So it's a little easier to go in with some of these things like this and yeah, you know, just give it a little bit of flavor underneath, like right in here. We can throw some stuff in there and over here, maybe in the shadows like that. There it goes. You just kind of want to leave a hint of it behind. You don't want it to be lingering in there too much. That's really all I want to do here is kind of just take some of this and you know, throw it in. Throw it in. There. Okay. That's good. We'll take some of that away, and we'll take some of this away. Okay. Here. We got too much paint on the paper. Maybe we can re-wet it. And that might make it easier to lift off. If not, you know, whatever. We got enough of it on there and took enough of it off. It isn't the biggest deal in the world. Now I'm going to spin my brush around. Okay. I'll take a little bit more water, get a little bit more quinacridone magenta. And we'll pick out some spots here. Like, okay. There. Again, this is just to give it some flavor. Just to give it some flavor. Okay. And before it soaks in and dries too much, we'll take some off. That's all there is to it. Okay. Okay. And same thing right here. This is such a nice color. It's a shame that this color isn't more used than it is because it's so nice to work with. It is kind of an unusual shade though, so I can see why some people might be afraid of it, but I like it. I like it so much. There. Okay. Here, we'll do this one right here. Good. That's good enough for right now. Let's go in, take a look at some of the things in the background here, like maybe these little duders right there. Let's go ahead and get some ultramarine. Let's get some more ultramarine. I kind of want this to be a little bit more of a. I want to emphasize the dark colors on this. I don't think using the sponge would be a particularly good idea on this. So let's just go right here. There it goes. All right. There's that. And here's this. Okay. And now for this one. We'll get a little bit of that in there. And this right here. Because maybe that little mountain range right there, those little hills are coming out in front of this one. Okay. Alright. And we'll call that one good right there. That's good. Don't need to overdo it. We just need to put some shadows on it. You need a highlight, you need a shadow. And you need to put the highlight down before you put the shadow down in watercolor. If you're doing an oil painting, you gotta do the reverse. You gotta put the shadow down, and then you gotta put the highlight on. It's a very, very funny way of working, you know? It's odd how those two mediums are complete reverses of each other. But that's the way it is. And that's what makes art so interesting at times, is trying to wrangle your way around all these colors. Okay, we're gonna create some of the shadow bits right here on this. Oh. And maybe oops, I didn't mean to go down that far. That was my bad. That was my bad. Okay. We'll go down in here maybe. Yeah, just pick out some spots. Pick out some spots where you think there's going to be like a little bit of a shadow. This is just the quinacridone magenta and the nickel azo yellow. You just imagine someone trying to climb these things, like maybe they see them and they can't help themselves and they say, I must. I have my cool new pair of rock climbing shoes or athletic shoes on, and I gotta put them to work. So they go and they try to climb this bad boy, and then they come tumbling down and realize that, well, maybe nature has other ideas about what they're supposed to be doing with their free time. Sometimes I think about what it'd be like to take one of those reality TV shows and make a whole comedy movie about it. I'm sure there's probably been one. Yeah, there's probably been one. There's been a bunch of horror movies and stuff, but, you know, I don't like watching horror movies that much anymore. I'm not a big horror movie guy right now. I used to like horror movies, but I don't like them so much anymore. It's just finally got to me, and I decided I want pleasant things in my life right now. Because life is hard enough at the moment without all kinds of weird and scary things coming into your mind because you're thinking about some stupid movie you watched the night before. That movie just keeps putting you on edge. No, I am not about that life right now. Let's take some of this color right here. Let's go across right at the bottom. There. Okay. Just making the color a little bit more intense. Okay. That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. Just making the color a little bit more intense. Okay. Let's not leave this guy right up. There it goes. Okay. Let's just lift this a little bit. Okay. Okay, that's good. We don't need to fuss around with that anymore. I just want to add a little something over there to make it stand out a little bit more. You know me. I like to go in and fool around with things too much. It's my thing. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead now. And we'll take a look at some stuff here. Let's go ahead and take some of this yellow color right here. And that's too green. That's too green. Here, let's take this color. There. There's going to be like a whole bunch of stuff that's kind of just like riding the edge of all this right here. Like maybe there's some yellows kind of creeping across the ground there, and maybe there's some yellows kind of riding up against the edge right there. Maybe I got one more kind of like right there. Yeah. It's kind of just a bunch of vines and stems and stuff kind of creeping across the ground there. That's fun. That's fun. Okay. I think we can take some of the quinacridone magenta now with our earthy yellow color, and just put it right about right here. Okay. And maybe we'll go down. There it goes. Okay. I'm going to take Nicolazzo yellow with some of that quinacridone magenta, and we'll make some more nice oranges down here. Man, I gotta imagine these look pretty, but you probably don't want to go up and try to smell them, or you probably don't want to try to pick them either, because they probably got all kinds of little prickly things on you. They'll hurt your fingers. They'll just feel real dry, and they'll be a real unpleasant to try and handle. Yeah, it's probably not a good time to. You go out here, it's probably not a good time to go picking flowers and stuff. No, sirree, I do not imagine so. Okay. There it goes. All right. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, we'll go down here maybe. Pick some of that. And maybe along here we'll just add a little bit more flavor right there, maybe right here too. Okay. Good. Yeah, things are picking up a little bit. Things are looking pretty nice. Maybe we'll go up in here and maybe there's some colors right there that we need to throw in. Maybe there's one right here too. Okay. And I don't know. Let's go around in here. Okay. Maybe right about here. Okay. That's better. That's better. Okay. I don't know. You can go wild with these things all day long. Pick and choose which parts you want to make more vibrant and which parts you want to leave, less defined. I'm going a little too crazy though, I think. Here, is this part dry yet? Yeah, it's dry. Alright, let's go ahead with our color here with the nickel hazel yellow and the ultramarine. And we're going to create these prickly little flowers here that are going to make your fingers all hurty if you try and pick them. You gotta be careful when you do that sort of thing. Nature's a cruel mistress. She's pretty, but man, sometimes she ain't too friendly. Maybe we could make that a plot point in our little movie where we're thinking about all the comedy. Maybe we got some guy who goes out and he's with his girlfriend and everything, and he strikes off from the group, of course, and she runs after him. He's over here picking flowers and everything and sniffing them all, and she's looking at him just wondering, what are you doing? He said, well, you told me I gotta take time to smell the roses. And then she's just looking at him like, those are a bunch of thistles in your hand. And he goes, ouch, because he didn't even realize what he was picking up until she said it. Like he was just taking them, smelling them, and didn't feel a thing until she said thistle. Yeah, some quality comedy right there. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna take this yellow green color, kind of go over a lot of the stuff that we did over here. A lot of these greens are going to be very similar to what we painted off in the distance. A lot of them. Yeah. And a lot of the shadows and everything are going to be near the bottom. They're going to be near the bottom of these things. So right about here and here. Try not to choke up on the brush too much. You probably noticed that a lot of the time I like to grab the brush by the handle or the very end of the handle, and there's a reason for that. It's because it makes it a lot easier to have like a long flowing motion to the brush strokes. Now if you choke up on the brush, you might have a little bit more control over it if you rest your pinky on the paper, but a lot of the time I don't do that. A lot of the time I don't do that because it's a big old hassle trying to do it that way. And a lot of times when I do it, I get my finger in the paint and then I get all kinds of colors on my fingers, and that's fun, but we ain't finger painting. Yeah, we'll just go over some stuff here. Yeah, we'll go over it. Yeah, the stuff where the flowers are, you kind of want to leave that alone. You don't want to fool around with those flowers too much because they look pretty good the way they are. Yeah, I like that. I like that so much, actually. We got a few more colors we can glaze in here. We got a few more we can throw in. I think we might go to the dark colors after this, though. Yeah, we're going to go to our dark colors. And then we'll start putting some of the finishing touches on the painting here. And at that point, we'll be pretty much done. Isn't that fun? Yeah, that'll be nice. Get another painting in the bag. Okay. I don't know if you missed any little blades of grass or anything, or you want to throw some in there. They're around. Go for it. It's your painting. If you want to throw in some more blades of grass and stuff, go right ahead. Nothing that says you can't. Okay. Now, we're going to take a lot of quinacridone magenta on this and dull down this color we got to kind of an olive color. Alright. Yeah. Yeah, this color is going to be kind of... It's going to have a little bit of the color we were using up above right here. Yeah, it's going to be pretty much the same like that. In fact, I don't even know that it's going to be green so much, but we had to get the green in there. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Alright. Well, we don't have a lot left to do right now. Let's feel that painting right there. So far it feels okay. Alright, so let's go in here. Okay. Got that. And you know, you want to be a little bit careful where you're putting some of these things. And maybe you got some stuff right in there. There's a lot of little dark things you can put in these paintings, like to subdue all those colors. Some of them you don't want to subdue. Maybe you want to keep them intact, like right here. Yeah, maybe you want to keep that intact, and maybe you want to go down here though. Maybe you want to do that and go right here. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. That's nice. And then there. And then right here. Okay. Now, we're going to pick and choose a few areas in here where we think a lot of these darks are going to go, like right here. There. Yeah, right about in there. Okay. And then maybe right in here. Okay. And right in here, I think there's going to be another one. Okay. Okay, here it goes right here. Maybe at the bottom there's going to be a few more of these. Yeah. Okay, just like that. And over here. Okay. Right here and right there. Good deal. And we'll have just kind of a range of them right in here. They're kind of going in, and you want to leave some spaces in between, like all the greens and everything, because you want to show a lot of the greens. You don't want to completely annihilate all the greens in there. Remember where your shadow's coming from too. Like, remember, the shadow's kind of on this side, the right side. Look where the light's coming from. The light's kind of hitting this over here, and it's hitting this side on these mountains right over here. It's coming this way. And so the shadow, a lot of it is going to be kind of lingering over here on the right side, whereas the left side is going to be a little bit lighter. Okay? All right. So maybe we got one going up here in the flowers. Yeah, maybe we do. Here. Helps to make those noises when you do this. You know what I might do? I might take some of our Nicolazo yellow and the quinacridone magenta here. And I'll take a little bit more Nicolazo yellow than quinacridone magenta. I'll just go up in here and maybe I'll just give this a little bit of an outline right here. And I'll subdue it a little bit because I don't want it to stick out that much. Okay. And what do we want to do next, do you think? Well, maybe right in here we'll... Yeah, you can go in here and do all kinds of stuff all day long. Like maybe... Those are going to be kind of light because they're supposed to be a little yellower flowers there. And that kind of just suggests that they're there. Alright, we have ourselves a pretty well finished painting here. I think that this is a good time to pick our color now. Rinse off the brush. And we got our signature color right here. It's a completely different color from everything we've used so far. These Badlands we just painted already, and people can go in and walk all over them and get themselves in harm's way and stuff. Go in and get themselves in trouble and all that. And here, let's just go ahead and throw one of these in there. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. Maybe I'll... Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's probably good enough. Yeah, that's good enough. You know me, I like to get a little too fastidious about my paintings. Here, let's get the signature color. Actually, you know what? I'm going to need a liner brush for this. I'm surprised we didn't get the liner brush out, but well, we are now since we are signing things. Here, I forgot that we need to get the liner brush out every time we want to sign something because it's easier. All right, so we'll just put the initials here. And your signature can be completely different. You can sign your entire name, you can sign your initials, you can sign your last name, you can even sign your first name. That's what Vincent Van Gogh did. Now, like I said, our Badlands are all ready for people to go out and try and get themselves hurt. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun painting it, and I hope you give this one a try. It's a little interesting. It's a nice way to go ahead and practice a little bit of dry brushing here and there. I didn't do a lot of dry brushing, but it's also a good way to practice painting some foliage, practice painting, just lights and darks, all that stuff. It's also good practice for glazing. All those things. It'll help you a lot with your technique, I think. Anyway, that's about it for today, so it's time for me to head out and take a rest. Until next time, with love from me to you, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.